Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday evening to you. Meteorologist Matt Wentz here. I've got your update on the heavy rain potential coming our way. We've got to look at the latest model runs that really bring a corridor of rainfall fall right through the region over the next couple days. We've already seen a little bit, but this is just a little bit of an appetizer compared to what we could be dealing with over the next couple days. We know it's been dry. We know that we could use the rainfall overall because we are dealing with a pretty decent drought across portions of the region in the upper Midwest. But I have a feeling by the end of this is going to be a little bit too much in terms of the rainfall category. So we'll take you through day by day what we're thinking with the models, and we'll take you through some of the higher numbers that I'm seeing as well, all in this Thursday evening edition of Region Weather Live. And welcome in, everybody. I'm Region Weather Meteorologist Matt Wentz. Nice to see you guys. Hi, Rhonda. Hi, Steven. Hi, Dee. Hi, Rob, who says rain has already started. Yeah, we already got round one. And then hi, Felicia, to you as well. I want to thank you guys. I got a lot of messages on the Facebook page today for happy birthday wishes, so I appreciate that. I know it's not really public knowledge that today's my birthday, but I appreciate all those that reached out, that we go way back in time and maybe wrote it on your calendar, but certainly feel special with that. So it's been a great birthday. There's lots of active weather, and that's all a meteorologist can ask for is a non-slow weather day outside. So let's get to the map, shall we? I want to take you through a couple things. We'll talk about what's happening now. I want to talk about kind of the setup over the next couple of days, and then we'll get into what some of the models are thinking. But basically, this pattern, I want to kind of preface the whole thing by saying this weather pattern is not picked up by computer models well at all. They tend to fail at predicting exactly where these thunderstorms develop, where they end up, and where they end up the next day. So I think the general consensus is we're going to have rounds of storms. We know that. Some of us in the region are going to see some very heavy rainfall one day, and then we're not going to see it the next, whereas the next day, the other areas might get it. But as a whole, what we know is that we are right in this atmospheric river corridor of some heavier rain, and it is not just going to be a 1 or 2 day event. That would be no problem. This is going to be a 5, 6, perhaps even a 7-day event where we're seeing these repeated rounds of storms. Again, not every day is going to have the heavy rain and storms. Some days will probably relax with some showers, but depending on where these end up, we certainly have a chance for some big-time rainfall around here. So this is what we're dealing with right now, and this is kind of what the pattern is going to be looking like over the next couple of days. We saw a big round of showers and thunderstorms. This is called an MCS, or a mesoscale convective system. They develop, they blossom. There are these huge clusters of showers and storms. This thing developed areas of Iowa earlier this morning, and that's what we were tracking in. It moved east a little quicker than I was anticipating. And again, the models didn't call for that because the models are awful this time of year at this particular pattern, because this isn't a cold front that just sweeps through. These are literally random explosions of large storms that just kind of do their own thing and go in their own direction. So this was round one, kind of came through. It's got away from the forcing or the main area of energy, which right now is centered back towards Iowa and Missouri. So as it gets away from that main energy, it's kind of like cutting the umbilical cord to this thing. It just kind of does its own thing and survives on its own for a little bit. And then that's kind of morbid. I maybe don't want to go that route with it, but you can see how everything's kind of fading. So we had some pretty decent downpours, a good steady rain across the region. We did have some heavier pockets, but now everything kind of becoming a lighter rain. And this whole thing will start to fade, and we'll just deal with cloudy skies overnight tonight with just a couple scattered showers. Look what's happening off towards the west, though. You can see this new explosion of showers and storms out towards Iowa, areas of Nebraska, northern Kansas, and Missouri. That's going to be our next round. So that'll be our next large cluster of storms that will traverse its way east. And we're going to kind of get into this pattern tomorrow where we're dealing with a lot of the leftovers for this. We'll see new development on top of that. I think tomorrow looks pretty rainy around here, and tomorrow could be really the first taste of some of the heavier rain that we get that could lead to some flooding problems by tomorrow night. All right, so that being said, where do we go from here in terms of the modeling? So here's one look at, this is the NAM Nest model. There are a bunch of models we look at. You remember this from following us during the winter storms, but you can see it doesn't have a real good handle on it. It thinks that there's huge storms over us now. It has a good handle back here towards Iowa, so that's good. And oftentimes as meteorologists, we look at the models and say, does it really truly understand what's going on now? Because if it doesn't, that means, the future doesn't look too good in terms of what the model's predicting. So this is the one that I think has the best handle on the situation, although it's not perfect. So as we go through time, watch what happens. Huge storms develop. Areas of Iowa, those continue to develop tonight. They head east and south. And you can see where we are here in the region. This is now tomorrow morning. We're getting kind of the remnants of that Iowa stuff. So likely some heavier rain, some rumbles of thunder as this moves through tomorrow morning. If this model holds true, which I think it will, and then you can see the heavier rain stretches down towards the south. So that round dies off. We get some rain in the morning. And then you can see as we go into the afternoon, things kind of dry up, but there's still some scattered showers and thunderstorms that are redeveloping somewhere where that boundary sits as we get into the afternoon. So I think tomorrow's pretty rainy, especially with the leftovers of that Iowa stuff tomorrow morning. But watch what happens after that. This pattern just continues to fire storms along this stalled out boundary. Again, rhyme or reason for this, it's not really going to be foretold in the models. So this is going to be a lot of nowcasting where, okay, here's where the storms are now. The computer models, the guidance that we have didn't call for that, but this is where it is, and here's what we think is going to happen. But look how we remain in the track. This is all the way through Saturday of just this constant stream of these thunderstorms that develop and then they die out. They develop and then they die out. And this is going to have a nice renewed area of moisture coming in from the south where it's not going to rain itself out. It's going to continue to pump in moisture from the Gulf along this boundary. So this rainfall is going to be heavy at times. How much are we talking? Let me go back to this real quick. I want to show you what the NAM Nest is saying in terms of precip amounts. Again, this is through Saturday at this point. Just look at the trend in these. Okay, don't look at your exact location and what the totals are saying. But this is how it's going to go, folks. We have areas that are getting half an inch up to an inch, and we have other areas that are getting perhaps 5, 6, 7 inches of rain. And you can see some of these amounts, the models are depicting over towards Kansas, maybe 11, 12 inches. That can certainly happen if you get renewed thunderstorms that are producing 1 to 2 inches an hour. So that's going to be the problem. This isn't going to be a widespread flood event, but it's going to be an event where we're going to see localized amounts that are really heavy that the ground is not going to be able to take. All right, I want to go to some of the global models because they've had a pretty good handle on this. I know Region Weather, we have a lot of construction workers and outdoor workers. We have some roofing companies on here as well. And I know for you, it is crucial to know when it's going to rain and when it's not going to rain so you can get your projects done. So I think the global models, especially the Euro, which I'm going to show you, has a decent handle on what this pattern is going to do the next couple of days, which would in turn tell us when we're going to see the most rain and when we have chances to kind of dry out. And I got to be honest, there are not a lot of chances in there to dry out as it looks right now. So here we go. This just shows your rainfall chance. You can see there's our real good chance tomorrow as that cluster comes through. On Saturday, what we'll see, this boundary starts to lift towards the north just a little bit. We'll still be in it, but there's a chance on Saturday that things will go a little bit more north of center. So that would bring the rain up towards Chicago, areas that really need it, southern Wisconsin and Michigan. And you can see how we're almost dry, but we're still kind of on that line Saturday night into Sunday. Again, if the models are correct in where this ends up going. But then as we get into Sunday, this line becomes focused right on us. This is going to be the boundary between cooler air trying to push in from the north and that warm tropical air to the south. It sits right over the region. So Sunday, real good chance of storms. Monday, real good chance of storms. Tuesday as well. And it's really not until next Friday and Saturday perhaps we clear this system out with another dose of drier kind of fall-like air as it looks right now. But that's what the Euro's thinking. So the last thing I want to show you are what are all the models, the global models, the big ones we look at, like the GFS, the Canadian, and the Euro. What are they saying in terms of precip? So I want to take you through some of the numbers here. Here's what the Euro is saying. You can see where that concentration is right over the region. This is through next Wednesday. So again, the further we get away from this, the less accurate it's probably going to be. But you get the idea. The trend is that we are right in the middle of this atmospheric river of rainfall. 4 or 5 inches possible by the time that day rolls around. We'll have to see. In terms of other modeling, this is the latest GFS now. I haven't seen this earlier. This had it centered right over the region. Now it's got it focused a little bit more towards Illinois and then extending over the region as it looks right now. But this is saying through next week, perhaps 4, 5, 6, even some higher amounts in terms of rainfall. So hopefully you're gathering why we're a little concerned about this, because these are just heavy rainfall amounts, number one, but it's over the same areas over and over. And that really is the problem. Then our final model I want to look at is the Canadian model. And they're all pretty much in agreement that somewhere in and around northwest Indiana, north central Illinois, we're going to have the bullseye for some very heavy rainfall. And again, this is cumulative. So this is over the next 5 to 7 days. So hopefully we can stretch it out. We'll get some heavy rain. Hopefully we can dry things out, heavy rain, dry things out versus day after day of heavy rain. So that's what we're looking at on the models. And again, this evening, if you missed the top of the broadcast, we've got light rain right now. We had the moderate, even some bursts of heavier rain with this first round. This first round's dying out. We're watching round 2, which will affect us beginning tomorrow morning as it looks right now. That's back towards Iowa and developing, as you see there, areas of Missouri. So that's the roundup in terms of what we've got going on. Again, the big concern is that our area rivers and streams, which are running fairly low right now after the dry weather we've had for much of the spring, that those will really start to get a renewed sense of water in them, that they won't be able to keep up if we get these rounds of storms. And especially given the amount of atmospheric moisture we're going to have over us, we can measure how much moisture there's if we were to wring it out. And we're going to be some 150 to 200% of normal around here, meaning there's going to be a copious amount of moisture up above us that can just get rained down on us. So that's the consensus on that. I hope that helps explain kind of what we're looking at next couple of days. I always like to give you kind of insider information. What I'll be looking for as a meteorologist over the next couple of days will be how do we see the shift? Is there a shift in terms of how this rainfall ends up playing out? And how well are the models? That's our guidance, right? How well are those handling the current situation in terms of where the storms are and where they end up? Because this thing could go a little bit further north, could get a little bit further south. And what I've seen in past experience is sometimes you'll get a big cluster of storms like the one that's developing in Missouri, and it might head a little bit further south of us here in the region. And what that does is blocks that Gulf of Mexico moisture from getting up here. So you don't get those renewed thunderstorms off towards the north, like the guidance is suggesting. So there's a lot of factors with this for sure. But bottom line, we've got 5 to 7 days worth of shower and thunderstorm chances. And I think that's enough to say, hey, we might have a problem in here if we continue to get this heavy rain. So that's what we're dealing with. All right. I appreciate going through your comments here. I appreciate all the happy birthdays. Thank you very much. Jimmy Payne, hoping for 5 feet of snow. A lot of people say, hey, if this were snow, we'd have 5 feet or 10 feet or whatever. Well, keep in mind, in the wintertime, the air is much drier. It doesn't hold as much moisture. So you never get this much rain as snow in the wintertime. It doesn't always translate that way. D saying, bring on the mosquitoes with all this for sure, D. I'll tell you, the mosquitoes, I don't know about you, they haven't been nearly as bad as the last couple springs, and now we're into summer. But we'll see what this does. Just make sure when this is all over with, if you have any standing water in your yard or anything like that, mosquitoes only need a little bit. So just dump it all out and go from there. All right. I'm going to let you be this evening. I hope that helped. Again, we'll have updates over the next couple of days, obviously, as this is ongoing. But it all started today with some light rain to moderate rain at times. That's dying out. And I think tomorrow is going to be our first taste of how this multi-day event is going to go around here. So we'll keep you updated. Hope everyone's doing well and have a wonderful Thursday evening. We'll talk.